Hello friend, I hope you're doing well. I figured that it was about time to make a little update video as I do every now and then on the channel, just updating you on the tanks, how the betas are going, and how my little side projects are doing. So I do have some sad news, and I know I don't usually, but I figured I would get it out of the way first. It saddens me to announce the passing of William. If you've been with me for a while, then you know who William is. My sweet little boy, my little koi Betta that I got back in 2022. He was my sweet boy. Honestly, I've been keeping Bettas ever since I was 6 years old, but William was my favorite. He passed several weeks ago. It's probably going on about a month now. And if you have been following me on my Instagram page, then you already know this. But for those of you that don't have Instagram or just prefer to stay tuned on the YouTube channel. So yes, he did pass, and I would have announced it sooner. I didn't want to announce it when I felt like breaking down, and sobbing. And it was a pretty big ordeal. I was pretty sad for the first day or two, but just like any loss, it does get better. And I will be honest, this is the first time that I've ever had two betta fish, so that I still have one when the other passes, and it really did help me cope with that loss, and I am doing very well today, although I do miss him and I will never forget him. He really was my favorite betta, the best betta I've ever had. I'll never forget his little happy dances and the way that he just brought so much sunshine into my life. He meant so much to me. But I find so much comfort just knowing that he had a happy life and that he was comfortable in his home. With that out of the way, I thought that I would update you on the Paludarium that I built a couple weeks ago, and some wanted an update. So I thought, you know what, how fun. Since this was my first Paludarium, my first little project, I wanted to update you. I'll let you know how it's been going so that if you want to make one of your own, you know what to expect. So let's hop on over to the Paludarium and check it out. Before I show really in detail how it is doing, I did want to show the location and the resting place that I decided to leave it. At first I was going to leave it on my plant shelf, but then I thought it was really pretty underneath my lamp. And I'll zoom out a little bit. Have the diffuser, the plant, and then the lamp. But I was a little bit worried since I just had a regular bulb. So I actually went on Amazon and I ordered a grow light bulb to put into the lamp. And honestly, I like it better. It's brighter, and my plants are so much happier over here because I tended to just leave them over on the plant shelf and I wasn't really able to enjoy them since I mostly work at my desk anyway. I wanted to have some of my favorites over here so that I could see them more often, and so installing that light bulb was a huge lifesaver. Alright, so I took it over to my plant shelf so we could have better lighting so that I could show you what's going down. It looks pretty good, and I will be honest that the plant that I put in here is doing so much better just being in the Paludarium. I've had this cutting for probably almost a year now, and this is one of the first leaves it's put out in several months. So it's clearly much happier. Now, I did get questions about the wood and whether or not it molded, because obviously I didn't have any bugs or anything to put in there to eat that mold. And the answer is yes, I did actually get some mold. It's molding right here, and honestly all around the wood it's molding. And I haven't quite figured out how to get rid of it. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. It's not really an eyesore. When you back up, you really can't see it except for that piece right there, which I have been contemplating on whether or not I should remove it. There is a snail in here, and so he's eating and snacking on and keeping everything clean down here. But there's nothing really up here to eat the mold. So there are a few things that I do want to try to get rid of it. At first I thought about taking a Q-tip and taking some peroxide and dabbing it on there. And I may try that with just a little piece. See what it does, see if it kills it, if it does all right. If I do try that in my next update, I'll let you know. But as far as just how it's doing in general, it's doing really well apart from the mold. That's really the only thing. There is a little ring, and I don't know if it's the mold or whatever, but I do probably need to clean it and then refill it a little bit. But the plant itself is extremely happy. Absolutely loves the aqua soil down here. These are new roots coming out that it never had before. So it's very happy in here. It definitely loves it. The wood itself, just at the top, is fine. I don't see any mold. Is the wood closer to the bottom, closer to the water that's molding, which honestly, I was expecting that. It looks like we have some different types. There's a greener type of mold down there. It may bother some, but honestly, it doesn't bother me. Although I am going to work on figuring out how to get rid of it. I was thinking maybe just leave it over time, see how it does, see if it goes away. I'm at the point where I think I'll start trying some different things. Here it is on the surface. It looks good. The Java moss I put over there is crawling up and around on the rocks. The floaters are doing really well. They are extremely green. I mean, the green of these plants is incredible. It's very, very bright and beautiful. The little Anubis Nana that I put in there is happy too. It could use a little bit of a scrub. Just a bit of a disclaimer, I have not scrubbed it ever since I made it, and I've had it for about a month now. That is the Paludarium. It's doing very well. I'm actually quite happy with it. I love that the plant up here is doing better. It seems to like the aqua soil that I have the roots planted in. Okay, we are going to move on to Alexander's tank because I did make some changes. I actually completely rescaped his tanks. So let's go take a look at that. Here's Alexander's tank now. The glare is still pretty bad, and honestly, the big piece of wood that I have in there is still putting off so many tannins. It's unbelievable, really. It looks lighter in person, but because there are tannins present in the water, it makes the reflection in the glass even worse. So I'm going to try to bypass that as best I can as I show you. We'll update on the plants that I have side by side. If you are a plant person like me, this one is doing incredibly well. I love this begonia. It's just gorgeous. It's putting out new shoots, new leaves. It looks fuller and fuller. I actually got this at Walmart for $5 in the clearance section probably about 4 months ago. So it's actually doing really well. I did end up buying a grow light for it, and that's when it really started to explode in growth. So if you have a plant that's unhappy, get it a little grow light like that. There are so many on Amazon. You can find them also elsewhere online. I actually ordered these from Temu. It was really cheap. I think it was $6. I think it was about $6, although I did have to buy the little part that will allow me to hook it up into a regular outlet, which was about $1. So it ended up being about $7, which is a little bit cheaper than it is on Amazon. But if you want to pay a little bit more and get it in a couple days, if you have access to Amazon, I would just do that. This plant over here has me a little bit confused. I cut it back dramatically because it wasn't doing very well. You can see some of the leaves are yellowy, but it is putting out some newer and healthier ones ever since I cut it back. I put out this really tiny, cute one. There it is. It's really cute. I like the tiny leaves. So it is putting out healthy leaves. These just look bad because they're old, and I probably need to cut those off as well. Moving on to the actual tank and the star of the tank, Alexander. He is doing very well. He's still a little bit scaredy. I don't know why. I was honestly kind of hoping that he would grow out of it, but as you can see, he does not like fingers. He'll back up into his tank. He'll even partially flare. He just really doesn't like fingers. And it's odd because if I take my finger away and I just stare at him, if it's just my face, he will stare back at me and he'll just sit and we'll just kind of have a little staring contest. But if it's my finger, or even if I put my face up too close to the tank, he backs up into it. I can't really figure out why he ended up being so scared and such a jumpy Betta. And it is almost ironic because he is the biggest one that I've ever had. He's his own little guy. Every Betta's different. Every Betta has their own little personality, and I'm not complaining. I think he's super cute. He's still a really sweet boy. He is probably closing in on 3 inches long now, although he's closer to 2.5. I'm not sure he's going to grow anymore, but he is so handsome. He's funny because he reminds me of Salsa a little bit. He looks purpley when he gets up to the light, but he doesn't have any purple in him. He's mostly just red and white. And he does actually have a small case of diamond eye, and it's only on this eye right here, but he does have some scales growing over it, which I'm not really sure how far it will progress. I don't know if it will continue to cover that eye or not, but diamond eye is just a genetic thing and there's really nothing you can do about it, so I'm not too worried about it. Either way, he'll do well. He's still really happy. He loves, his favorite thing to do right now is to chase the snails and the snail babies, and he likes to eat them. So that is great. It's great for me because it keeps them under control. So the ram's horn snails in my tank cannot get out of control because he will eat any of the small ones. A quick overview of the tank. Really, the main thing I changed was the large piece of wood in here. I shifted it. So I had it over here, and then I shifted it this way so it would be more open. And then I cut up some of the plants up here so that they would make more. So I'm kind of just propagating them inside the tank currently. I just shifted them around a little bit. And I moved the plants around. I took this big bushy wisteria that is now in the back. It used to be right here. It used to be right in the front. But I moved it in the back because I wanted to keep it big. I really didn't want to cut it back. So I just shoved it in the back, and it works so much better because number one, it hides the heater. I can't see the heater. Number two, it creates a really nice little background, little bit of coverage in the back. I did take the Anacharis. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But I did take everything that was left. It was sort of dying off for some very odd reason, but I had a few shoots left, so I bunched them up together, I buried them in the substrate, and I put a Seachem root tab underneath. I just chunked up one into a few pieces, and I put one piece underneath, and they're exploding in growth. So if any of you need to hear this, you can grow them floating above the substrate, but they are really happy when you put them beneath just a little bit and you add a root tab underneath. I've been trying to keep the floating plants under control as much as possible. They're all doing pretty well. I just recently scooped out a bunch of them. The duckweed, let me tell you, I really do regret adding them to my tank. And they're not terrible, but they do get everywhere. They get on the equipment when you wash them. They get on your arms when you're doing tank maintenance, and it's not necessarily as much of a horror story as a lot of people want you to believe, or a lot of people feel. I don't really feel that way, although I do kind of regret adding it because obviously once you add it in there, you can't take it out. It's in literally everything. It has wound itself up in the Java moss, so even if I got all the stuff off the surface, there would still be pieces in there, reproduce, and just go crazy all over here. So every now and then I do have to do a really big scoop of the top, but it's still pretty. It provides some good coverage, and the snails are definitely happy. Moving on to the last part, which is kind of sad. This was William's tank, and the plants really are doing quite well. I do have to say that I have had a really big influx of green hair algae, and it's kind of bizarre because it wasn't the case when he was in there, but something may have happened since he's not in there anymore. The levels may have changed, so I have been keeping the light of the tank off to kind of battle it, and it's actually doing a lot better. It's not nearly as bad as it was before. The plants are happy though, and the Java fern in particular, this huge one in the back, has exploded. There's so much new growth down there, and honestly, I'm just hoping that I can get rid of this hair algae because I really do like the plants. And I don't have to get rid of them because they just keep on growing hair algae. As far as what I'm going to do for the future of this tank, I don't know. And I did want to ask what you think I should do. What is your take on this? I do know that in a week or two, when I get the time, I want to rip out the back. So the back right here, this whole section, I've seen people do it before. I am confident that I could do it. I'm just going to rip it all out because it's just the built-in filter, and I want to put in a sponge filter because I love sponge filters. I don't really like this, but I love the tank, and it would give me a little bit more space in the tank. Anyway, so I think that that would work out well. Also, I am going to be getting rid of this piece of decor. It just has a lot of memories attached, and it's also very, very hard to clean around it just because it's so big and spread out. It's very hard to get the siphon down in here, so I'm going to be getting rid of that, and I will likely install some rocks and some driftwood. I do have some pretty big plans for this tank just as far as the scape. I'm going to do a dramatic rescape. It's not going to look the same. I'm planning on getting some planted substrate and growing a carpet, and then I'm going to get some rocks and some driftwood. As far as when I'm going to do this, I don't know, because I want the timing to be right, and it is possible that I will be moving in a few months, so I really don't want to fill it back up, maybe get another Betta and get everything set up and then have to move too, since I have moved Bettas before and I know what it's like, what the process is like going through all that. So when I do the complete rescape that I have the idea for, I will be creating a video, so I know that that will be a fun watch. But I did want to ask you, what do you think I should do? I have a few options. I could get after the rescape, I could get another Betta, which would be fun and would obviously help me create more content for my Instagram and YouTube. However, I can also do a little shrimp tank, which could be fun, or I could get some schooling fish, some different types of schooling fish, like some tetras or some rasboras. Personally, I kind of feel the urge to get another Betta. And if I do, then I probably wouldn't be getting one until I either know that I'm staying here another year or I'm going to move and then get another one. But I did want to ask your opinion. What do you think? Do you think another Betta, maybe some shrimp, or some schooling fish? What do you think? I would love to hear your opinion in the comments. It has been pretty empty without him. I do miss him a whole lot. But I'm glad at least the plants are doing well, and I do hope that I can get rid of this hair algae. Alright friend, thank you for joining me in my little update. I'm so glad you stayed and you checked out my tanks. Let me know what you think, and I would love to hear what you think I should do with the empty 5-gallon. Before you go, I did want to thank you if you have been watching my content all the way through. I greatly appreciate it because I'm getting so close to being able to monetize this channel, which basically means I'll be able to put some ads on the videos that I will make revenue from. Recently, YouTube has actually been putting ads on my videos and on others' videos anyway, but that doesn't mean that I'm monetized. It just means that they're slapping ads on there so that they can make some money. I'm not exactly sure when they started doing this, but they did. So if I can get monetized, then I will actually make a little bit off of ads. So that has been a very exciting thing to look forward to. The last time I checked, I had close to 3,000 out of 4,000 required watch hours. So thank you for watching all the way through. With that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you haven't, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. If you ever have any Bettafish questions or requests, please DM me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. You could also email me. You can find my email in the About section on this channel. All right, friend, you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.